Hey guys, it's Luke, and today I'm driving the quintessential small sedan luxury car, the BMW 3 Series. The car I'm in is a 2014 BMW 328i xDrive, and I've been driving it for about 20 minutes now, and I hate to say it, but I like this car a bit more than I thought I would. You know, like this car always, it kind of has a negative vibe as being like kind of a girly car and a car that you pay too much for and don't get a lot for, and kind of one of those cars that it's so mainstream that a lot of people kind of dismiss it almost as being a bad car. Now, what I'm going to do in this review is kind of tell you why that's not necessarily true and why this car is actually a bit better than you might expect in some ways and a bit worse than you might expect in some others. So let's get going with the styling. This 328i looks a lot better than the previous version. They sharpened up the lines, but at the end of the day it looks extremely similar. The front end, you still have that kidney grille. The headlights, they're a lot more masculine than the previous generation, but other than that, the design language is very similar to the previous generation 3 Series. Moving along the sides, there's really not a whole lot going on. A quote that I like to reference is from Top Gear, and they said, if you want a 3 Series, you're basically ordering 14 feet of car. Now, honestly, I kind of agree with that in this case, because the side profile, you have a nice line that runs along the doors right underneath the windows that flows into the rear taillights. That looks pretty cool, but other than that, there's really not a whole lot of styling going on the side, but it looks sleek. Moving on to the rear end, the taillights are actually pretty similar to what you would have gotten in the previous gen car. They're a bit bigger, and they kind of look like the previous generation 5 Series taillights. Now, with the release of the latest 5 Series, they kind of make these taillights look a bit outdated, but honestly, it's not a big deal. They look good overall. But when you look at the design of this car as a whole, it just doesn't really stand out that much. It's just another 3 Series. I don't feel like BMW really pushed the envelope when they designed this car. They designed it pretty conservatively, which makes sense because it's a car that they sell a lot of, and they didn't want to go too crazy with it and risk turning off buyers. But honestly, I think they could have gone a little bit further with it. It's a bit too femme still. It's just not masculine enough, at least in this format. Of course, an M3 is super masculine, but this 328i, I don't think it's really aggressive enough to really make a stand for itself. Now let's talk about the powertrain. The powertrain is actually pretty interesting, and I like it. It is a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine that puts out 240 horsepower and 255 pound-feet of torque. Now what's interesting is that the torque is available from 1500 RPM. You can feel it. It is actually pretty damn quick, a lot quicker than I would have ever expected from a 4-cylinder. 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's actually pretty quick from low down. There's not a whole lot of turbo lag like you might expect from a car like this. Now, it goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission, which is extremely smooth to shift. It shifts almost completely seamlessly. Now, one thing I don't like is they don't include paddle shifters. This is a BMW. It's the ultimate driving machine. It needs paddle shifters for its sport mode. It has the column shift, but it's just not the same. It's not good enough with the column shifter. I would love to have some paddle shifters. The column shifter, it's awkward to use and it shifts pretty damn slow. Not a huge fan of that. So let's talk a little bit about the driving experience of the 328i xDrive. The 4-wheel drive definitely helps out with the grip. The steering is super direct. It's electric power steering, but I would never expect it. It feels so natural in my hand just to direct the car. It's a teeny bit soft on center, but if anything, that almost mimics a hydraulic setup. So overall, I think they did a great job calibrating the steering. It is just awesome. It feels really good going through corners or just driving erratically on a straight road like I just did. But it's nice. It handles really well. When you put it in sport mode like I'm doing right now, it significantly stiffens up the steering, and it makes sure that the 8-speed automatic holds gears a lot longer than it would in comfort mode. And you also have Eco Pro mode, which basically makes you want to kill yourself, so I recommend not trying that if you enjoy driving or enjoy life in general. So overall, it drives really, really well. It's a little bit softer than a true performance sedan would be, but then again, this isn't a true performance sedan. It's the 328iX drive. If you want a performance car, you can get the M Sport package, or you can opt for an M3 if you want to shell out more money. But for anyone that's trying to have fun in the car, this thing will work out perfectly. It's totally fun to drive. No problems there. So let's talk about the interior a little bit. Now, BMW's interiors, in my opinion, have always been a little bit behind the class in recent years. They don't quite feel luxurious enough. And to be honest, this interior is kind of the same deal. Yes, you have leather. We have beige leather in this car. We have nice wood trim on the dash, but the design just seems a bit dated. The center stack here just seems a bit old. There's a lot of knobs and buttons, and it's not necessarily hard to use, it's just not as streamlined as a lot of modern designs are. Now with the new 5 Series, I've checked one of those out, it's massively improved, so I feel like the next generation 3 Series will be much the same, but this current one, it's not as up-to-date as you would expect from competitors. It doesn't look quite as streamlined. Yes, it has a technology that other competitors may offer, but in the way it's all put together, it just seems a little bit older. Now, the seats are pretty comfortable. When I first got in it, I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna fit because I'm 6'2", but you can actually adjust the seats to fit nice. I have pretty good thigh support, which is something I was worried about. There's a lot of lumbar adjustment, and it's 2-stage seat memory, which is really nice. Now, my driving position is pretty good. I have a very clear view out of the car. You sit low, but there's lots of glass space, and I have plenty of headroom, even with the sunroof. The steering wheel, you grip it well, but it seems like a pretty old design. Not a whole lot going on there. And overall, the interior's materials are pretty good, but there are some hard plastics where you wouldn't expect it, like down by my knee, where I rest my knee, it's all hard plastic. And it's not necessarily uncomfortable, I just wish they would make it soft touch. The door panels are soft touch. You actually have soft touch lower door panels, and like Jack and I always say, soft touch lower door panels define a car as a luxury car. But unfortunately, there is no frameless mirror. That would be another really nice feature to have. But overall, I like the dashboard layout. I like the interior. I just feel like it needs to be updated to be really competitive with the class. Now, the front seats, very comfortable. There's a lot of room. Obviously, you can opt for a package that you get you more comfortable full leather seats. But in the rear seat, this car suffers big time. There is not a lot of legroom back there. I literally have to fold my legs in order to fit there. But on the upside, the rear seats are heated, and that is pretty nice. But one thing is weird, you pay over 40 grand for this car, and yeah, you can get heated rear seats, but you don't get a navigation system. You get a navigation system in a Hyundai Elantra if you pay for it. Now this thing, honestly, if you're paying upwards of $40,000 sticker for a car, you need to have navigation as standard. I'm sorry, but you just do. It doesn't make any sense. This iDrive system, it's a lot better than the old iDrives were. It's a continuously reforming art that just gets better and better with each rendition, but I still just wish they had a touchscreen option. There's something, in my opinion, that's better about just reaching over and touching a screen. I do admit that this iDrive does work very well. It's pretty damn intuitive. You have good haptic feedback from the control knob, and you have some buttons that have predefined settings on them that'll take you to certain menus. So it is a very good system. I just wish the screen was a little bigger. This screen's a little dinky in terms of its size, and I do wish that they would involve navigation into their systems. And now I'm cornering very fast. This thing handles so well. That was kind of irrelevant and not really to the point of what I was talking about, but it's a BMW. Sometimes you need to induce some speed when the time calls, like right now. This car definitely feels like a car that does 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. And whilst it does 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds, and it has all-wheel drive, it still gets 22 city, 33 highway. pretty damn good. So let's talk about a few things that I hate about this car. The first one is the gear selector. It's stupid. I'm sorry, it's just stupid. So in order to get the car into gear, you have to press a button on it that unlocks the shifter and allows you to actually move it. Why? I don't know. And the other thing that I don't like is how it always returns to center after you've selected a gear. If I put it in drive, it'll pop back to center. And that's not very good if you're trying to figure out what gear you're at from a glance, or just remembering what gear you're in when you're shifting into another gear. It's just very weird to get used to. And other than that, it's not bad, but it's just overly finicky. What is wrong with just having a regular manual gear selector? They are overcomplicating it in this case. The other thing I don't like are the turn signals. Now, there's nothing really wrong with them, but they don't click into place. They're like a one-touch system. You'll click it, it'll return to center, and then it will flick on and on and on. But the only problem is, if you try to cancel them, sometimes it's very easy to pull it too far, and then you flick your left indicator on, or the opposite indicator of what you're just doing. And it's kind of disconcerting to me to be indicating and then not hearing itself cancel. It does it automatically, but it's still kind of weird. And other than that, besides just the lack of features, there really isn't a whole lot that I hate about this car. I was really expecting to hate it a lot more than I do. I am actually really damn surprised. I really, really like it. Like, I've always harshed on this car for not being good value for money, and I mean, to be honest, it really isn't. But like, no luxury car is really good value for money. They gyp you by being like, oh, I'm a premium brand. If you want my badge, you gotta make do with features that you wouldn't get in a $15,000 car. Like, if you get a car, a $20,000 car, like for instance, my Ford Focus comes standard with more features in the titanium trim level than this car does. Now, to me, that's ridiculous. But the Ford Focus isn't a BMW sedan, and it doesn't have the refinement that a BMW will bring you. So, I mean, you pay the premium, you get what you want, and I mean, at the end of the day, a person that's in the market for a luxury car like this isn't going to care that they're paying a little extra money for features that they could get normally in a different car. That's just how it is, and BMW knows that, and they're gonna cash in. So, the personality of this car. I've been driving it for about half an hour now, and honestly, it's not really speaking to me a whole lot. It's not one of those cars that is super exciting in a way, but I'll give it this. It wants to go fast. It handles really freaking well, and I feel like that gives it a bit of an edge. And in my opinion, this is one of those cars that has been totally muffled by society. Society's kind of given it a bad rep. People that drive these cars are generally people that have a lot of money but don't know jack shit about cars. And to be honest, that kind of kills the personality. Like, this car, if it was driven by purists that really could appreciate the car, it would be a completely different animal. This car would have a much better rep, and people would really appreciate what a damn good car it is. But I feel like since people that drive these cars don't really know a whole lot about cars, they just have money and they're just like, oh, 3 Series, classic luxury car, I'll have that. It kind of makes the car feel like it's not really all that sporty, even though it is. If you're probably not catching my vibe on that, but basically what I'm trying to say, it's a great car and it has a fun personality, but it's diluted by the people that buy it and the rep that it gets by just people in general, the way that they kind of think of this car off the top of their head. Like, if you mention BMW 3 Series to someone, they're going to be like, oh, that's a rich chick's car. And I mean, you're probably right. So hopefully the person that lent me this doesn't hear that, because she's a chick. So yeah. But yeah, overall this car has been amazing. I really do enjoy it. It's very comfortable, and yet it's pretty sporty and relatively efficient, pretty quick. It really does check all the boxes. It's a pretty good car. I understand why a lot of people buy it. And quite frankly, I would not be upset if I ended up owning one of these in the future, or if someone gave me one of these. It's a very, very good car. I do enjoy it. There's something about German engineering that just checks all the boxes all the time. I really do love this car. And now we are coming up on a nice bit of road here. Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely fun. Not quite as confidence-inspiring as it could be in the corners. It leans a little bit too much, but she's fun. So I hope you guys really did enjoy that review. I hope you found it informative. As always, please check out motormindsproductions.com. Find us on social media. Please subscribe. You guys have no idea how much it means to us when you guys subscribe. It helps us out so much in the world of YouTube. So please click that subscribe button if you really enjoy the content that we're putting out, and drop a comment if you want to get in touch with us. We like to respond to all of our comments. We really want to engage our viewers. So if you have any questions or you just want to drop a line, I mean, hit us up in the comment section and we will definitely respond. So we hope to see you watching our next video.